Welcome to Season 6 of the Let's Talk Data podcast series presented by SAP, where we explore game-changing technologies with leading experts.
Welcome to our Let's Talk Data podcast series. My name is Angela Harvey, and I'll be your host today. Colin Breakwell, an expert from HCL Technologies, will share how HCL has leveraged the BTP to build ISAM maintenance execution mobile cards. These put a number of critical functions directly into maintenance technicians and supervisors' hands. Please subscribe to our podcast on Apple or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. So Colin, to kick it off, are you able to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about how HCL Technologies and SAP partner?
Yep, thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction. So Colin Breakwell, I work in the SAP practice at HCL Technologies. The SAP practice is a global transformation partner of SAP's. We've worked with SAP for many years and have many successful implementation projects around the world. HCL is a global technology company, $11 billion, nearly 200,000 employees across a range of technologies. So my role specifically is I run a SAP product development team. So I'm responsible for the creation of products and IP using SAP technologies. And I've been running that team for a number of years. And one of our flagship products is around complex asset maintenance and the IMRO solution and the ISAM solutions that we're talking about today. So it's a pleasure to be introducing those products to you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Colin. And, having delivered that many successful SAP implementations, I'm sure you've seen a lot of challenges and ways to address customers' issues. But what specific problems for your maintenance customers were you trying to address with this ISAM solution?
So obviously in maintenance, there's a lot of activities, and most of the real maintenance is done by maintenance technicians and supervisors on the shop floor. And you want those people to be productive and really doing the work, maintaining assets. And so they need tools in their hands to make them efficient. And what we've seen is that data capture from the shop floor can be a particular bottleneck on the shop floor, and people queuing up for terminals, people delayed by having to walk around a big shop floor or a big hangar, trying to get to a terminal to input data. So trying to provide more information in their hands, on their mobile devices, is really there to improve data quality, encouraging them to enter the right data and removing those bottlenecks and increasing shop floor efficiency. And there's a number of kind of key processes, but one of them is around time recording. So recording accurately how much time you spend on a maintenance task is really important in terms of looking at efficiency, improving your future planning, and if you're billing customers for the work, if it's chargeable work, having accurate data to invoice and bill. And so we've built this range of solutions to really try and start to address those shop floor efficiency activities.
That definitely sounds like a specific challenge of making sure people are efficient when doing these maintenance tasks. So what tools did you implement to really help the maintenance technicians be more efficient when they're on the shop floor?
So we looked at a range of options really around Fiori, around mobile tools, and we came to a kind of evaluation that using a specific kind of development technique of mobile card would be suitable for the processes that we were looking at. So the specific activities were very simple. They're kind of one step, simple things: releasing work, completing work, clocking time, assigning work. So they're very simple processes. You don't need a big complicated user experience, but you're also accessing a range of data. You might have 10 pieces of work assigned to you, and you need to scroll between them, choose the one you're going to do, and then clock on. So we used the SAP Mobile Card framework to build these solutions, and that gave us the kind of flexibility we needed, but creating a simple solution. Mobile card can then be installed on either bring your own device or work devices and put in the hand of the technician. So it's a really nice framework solution to build these applications and these functions.
No, that's fantastic. And I mean, just kind of drilling into the example you used around time capture. I know when we chatted before the podcast, you explained it really beautifully, just that, typically the customer, like the end customer that's getting the maintenance delivered on their item, is being billed based on, how much time the maintenance technician actually used. But for the employer of the maintenance technician, they're usually paying a salary. So anytime that they, have employees waiting at a terminal or walking around or, forgetting their login and having to log in, not just using Face ID on their phone, they're essentially losing money. So obviously for the owner of the maintenance company, this is a big benefit to see better efficiencies. I would assume for the end customer, even though they're kind of paying just for the actual maintenance done, they still want their aircraft or whatever the person's working on maintained and fixed faster. But I would think for the employee, it's actually a real benefit as well, being able to kind of work the way they live and just use their mobile device and bring mobile device and even bring their own device that they're used to. Are those kind of the main benefits that you're seeing from the solution, Colin, or are there
Yeah,
other ones I've missed?
no, I think that's absolutely right. I think that those different dimensions. So if you look at it, as you say, from the employer, it's important to have efficiency in the shop floor, making technicians and supervisors span of time, making them efficient. That's important. You want to get the maximum amount of work out of someone, but you are interested in worker efficiency. So if you really take this to a kind of a level, you can start to look at what your employees are doing and what technicians, how much time they're spending on different activities. That's one dimension, and that's important. You're also interested in improving your kind of planning data. So actually analyzing planned versus actual time is an important business activity. You're making your plan based on planned times and assumptions around your plan. And actually being able to compare that to actual is not helping the event you're in, but it will help your future planning. So if you're spending less time or more time, you can bake that into your next planning assumptions and have a better plan. So actually improving how you plan and improving future maintenance activities is an important or a useful additional benefit. As you say, I think from the technician, the employee's kind of perspective, it's much simpler to use your phone. They're used to using their phones. Mobile card is really simple. They can have it with them. Saves a lot of effort and wasted time, frustration on the shop floor. There's nothing worse than queuing up at a terminal, waiting 10 minutes to get access to do what is a 15-second transaction in the end. So, and at specific times on a shop floor, whether you're in a hangar or a shop floor, shift start, shift end, break time, that's where you get the worst bottlenecks. When you've got a limited number of PC workstations in an environment, people start to queue up to get to the break, or they want to clock on in the mornings, and you want to make sure everyone's efficient in those processes. So actually removing it from the terminal, putting it in the worker's hand, massively changes the kind of flow around the shop floor. And often, for the launch customers of this, working in aerospace, in aircraft maintenance, a hangar is a big environment. It's a big space. Sometimes you're at the aircraft, you're moving between jobs. You don't want to walk the other side of the hangar to update the system. I think the other dimensions of the benefit, real-time data reporting. We often talk in solutions about needing real-time data. And of course, getting real-time data capture in these environments is hard. Real-time is not 4 hours later. Real-time is much closer to the job than that. You don't want to wait to the end of the shift to go, how did I spend my day? So this actually is feeding, your analytics, your real-time kind of insights onto how maintenance is going, and enabling the supervisors and the managers to understand whether too much time is being spent in one place, whether they might have an emerging problem. So you're capturing that work is taking longer than you thought really early in the process, helping you to manage it and get on top of that before it becomes a big problem and you get a delay. So there are many dimensions of benefits from the kind of idea of real-time capture and capturing data in real time really, really easy. So it's accurate and people are willing to do it. And it's not just a kind of a difficult task that makes it inefficient or difficult to actually really get real-time data in. And then I guess, from the customer, as you said, the customer, when you're billing work, you need good audit on if it's time and materials, why you're charging the customer a certain amount. they're interested in making sure, and you're interested in making sure that you do have those accurate records and you have traceability and audit on why certain work is being costed at a certain price. The other things you can do in labor clocking, if you take these solutions to their fullest extent, you can start to think about making sure you're capturing overtime, or you're capturing the labor rate of work. So different people might cost different amounts. So if a supervisor does a job, that's actually costing you more than if a less qualified person is doing it. So there are many dimensions of capturing accurate labor clocking data that are beneficial across a whole series of different business processes.
No, I love that view on it, Colin, because I was kind of thinking of the user experience being easier, but I guess you're right. When people are kind of recording that just-in-time feedback, you're going to have better data accuracy and like you said, the ability to do more of that real-time analytics to see where those choke points are. So is there integration back into a back-end SAP system? Is that why you're using SAP Mobile Cards?
Yes. So this is built on top of a much broader maintenance solution. So all of the maintenance orders, the planning of the maintenance is being done inside the SAP S/4HANA digital core system. So that's really acting as your kind of core maintenance system. And that in a maintenance order has time confirmation capabilities, but what this is doing is sitting on top of that, making that process more efficient, more accessible without having to log on to the whole of the back-end system. So we're using an SAP digital core. The mobile card here will present data from the order coming from S/4HANA and then create ultimately a time confirmation on a maintenance order, which both posts time and cost onto the orders for those other processes we talked about. So this is really just a kind of layer above your S4 system, making it simple and accessible to the users.
Okay, so that actually kind of dovetails into the next question that I had, Colin. And actually, I've got to admit, before speaking with you about this solution, I wasn't that familiar with SAP Mobile Cards. So my understanding of it is that basically SAP Mobile Cards, which you've mentioned a few times you've used to build this solution, really allow you to share information from specific fields like customer contact information in a mobile-friendly format. So that can be updated automatically and available offline, no matter where you're working. And then also there's some integration with Fiori apps. But what I was really curious on, because I hear a lot about the iOS SDK, what would be the main difference in using mobile cards versus an iOS SDK? It sounds like maybe mobile cards are better when you're using it in conjunction with a pre-built application and a pre-built system. Is that fair?
I think they both have their role, right? So an iOS SDK or in the mobile SDKs, I think they're really useful if you want to build a slightly more complex app. But if you've got a really simple process, perhaps you don't need a dedicated user experience or you don't need a flow through the transaction. Sometimes building a native app is more it's just more effort. And of course, the more apps you have on a device, the more complexity the business has in maintaining them and pushing out updates to them, and the user has to install it, especially on bring your own, so actually controlling the number of kind of individual apps perhaps is important. But the mobile card is acting as a kind of, a wallet or a folder around a whole number of processes. So it's not the mobile card is a single app that's installed and then content is put into it. So all of these 4 functions that we've got here can all sit in a single app. And actually there's lots of content coming from standard SAP that also sits in that same kind of wallet. So you can then scroll between different functions. So you can navigate through your cards and go, okay, I want to do some work completion, move to that kind of folder. And then you can have a carousel of the work orders assigned to you, move between them really easily. And it presents really simple data. So you're not getting lots and lots of data. You might have 10, 20 fields presented or a little kind of graphical insight. And then normally a single function. So you complete it or you enter time or you assign a person, but really you're doing a very simple function where you don't need a sophisticated app. So it's probably, different development techniques have their role in a process. And we chose the mobile card because of its simplicity. It's the app that installs on the device is an SAP app. So there's no, we're not creating our own apps, and then we're just putting content into that. So the security of that is very tight. It's very easy to deliver. There's only one install on the device. So it's very, very simple. And I think we chose it probably because of its the simplicity of developing in it, and the simplicity of the process we're trying to build suited it. Now, mobile card also enables you to take content on the go, so you can move data, simple drag and drop of data from Fiori apps, Fiori kind of insight apps, dashboard apps, into mobile card now. So it's becoming more of a kind of transaction and data on the go solution, and we'll have more and more use cases, I think. So it's a nice little simple framework to do some simple things that really suited this use case.
Very cool. And I understand that this use case and scenario was part of a broader ISAM set of solutions from HCL Technologies. Is that right?
That's correct. So probably for the last 15 years, HCL Technologies have been building maintenance solutions, maintenance add-ons to SAP. So we've been a strategic partner of the SAP industry business units for travel and transport and aerospace and defense for many, many years, where we've been partnering with SAP to create solutions for complex maintenance, and in particular addressing the challenges of aircraft maintenance, aerospace and defense market, where perhaps the functionality in the core EAM solutions from SAP has some white space. We build an add-on to fill that. And we've worked, we have products that we've been developing for 15 years in that space. So this solution we're talking about today fits into a suite of functionality for complex asset maintenance and addressing the challenges of aerospace. And some of the other products in here, so we've got another new BTP app for requesting maintenance, which is running on business technology platform using RPA bots to integrate with emails and automate processes whilst integrating with the kind of core backend data model for maintenance. We've got products for maintenance operations insights and planning, quotations, inspection, shop floor execution. So there's a whole suite of different products across the kind of S4 and BTP technology stacks, all supporting these really challenging, complex asset maintenance use cases. An aircraft or a jet engine are hugely complex assets with very demanding kind of maintenance processes, where we've built very specialist solutions to address the role challenges and the process challenges of that market.
No, that's exactly why we partner, right? Because you've got this deep domain expertise beyond, the general solutions that SAP is offering. Would you say sort of the emergence of the BTP over the last, what has it been, 10 years, and some of these more dev solutions where we're keeping the core clean and then doing the modifications on the side have helped HCL be more efficient and nimble with your customers?
No, absolutely. I think because we, in many ways, we're ahead of the kind of game, the ideas of industry cloud and partner-led development. We've been doing that for 15 years. We have a very big legacy solution, which is an embedded add-on. And actually comparing that to these new solutions that we're building on business technology platform and the latest kind of technical architectures is a huge difference. My ability to have quarterly releases, react to customers, deliver products quickly, and much more decoupled from the big complexity in the core. That is transforming how we create products and how we deliver products to customers, and really moving away from annual releases and kind of quite challenging big products into nice, small, focused, agile solutions. It's been a very interesting and exciting journey over the last few years to start to adopt BTP and move away from kind of more classic core development.
Yeah, I can imagine it allows you to just be a lot more responsive to your customers when they're getting that just-in-time feedback versus having to align it to their SAP upgrades, or that you're kind of not tied to it. You can do this continuous innovation cycle.
Yeah. I think it also gives us access to a lot more tools and capabilities that we never had before. The services and functionality in BTP and the capabilities are so much more powerful than perhaps your classic ABAP capabilities,
Yeah.
so different experiences, automations, all these intelligent services that we now have access to. So not only is it transforming our ability to react to customers and have rapid release and a much more agile set of products, we can do so much more with those products now as well.
Yeah, and I just love even a few that you've touched on that are really, more cutting edge in this one, like the mobile cards and SAP process automation. So very cool to see the innovation that you're able to deliver to your customers more quickly. So I just really wanted to thank you, Colin, for taking the time to walk us through this offering and just more broadly how HCL is using the BTP to service their customers. And to the audience, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. In the show notes, there's actually some great information about HCL Technologies and this solution in particular. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'd suggest you listen to podcast 34, where SAP and one of their partners, Big ID, discusses the tension of data. So just another episode I'd like to recommend. Anyway, thank you so much to our audience for listening. And Colin, really appreciate the time.
My absolute pleasure. It's been great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.